Good evening, everybody. Welcome to day 17 of the 24 days of Christmas. We're actually going to get the live stream started 5 minutes early tonight, and I'm not going to start reading the actual book until 7 o'clock. However, I am jumping out of a podcast episode that we're recording for our Articulate Studios group to jump over here to read live for probably a chapter tonight. I think right now we're going to be on a chapter cadence per night until we get to the kind of finale of the book, and then we'll just read all of those on the 23rd. But yeah, so I'm jumping out of a previous meeting, recording an episode of our Resonant Frequency podcast, which is kind of a behind-the-scenes podcast for our audio drama, Static Shift. If you haven't listened to Static Shift yet, it's a wonderful audio drama. A lot of us from Articulate are in every episode as different characters, and a couple of us play recurring characters throughout. But it's a lot of fun to listen to. It's a lot of fun to be involved in. I have a great time acting in that, and it's a really cool story. So hopefully we'll get some of that stuff into some awards consideration next year. The 24 Days of Christmas. This is a little passion project of mine that I wanted to see if I could do this holiday season. Last year, I did a Christmas song every day for the 12 days of Christmas. So from the 12th until the 24th, every night I did a different, or every day, I posted a different Christmas song, just a snippet, because you can't go too long, otherwise all of the social medias will hit you with a copyright strike. But putting in just a little stanza of a song every day. This year, I wanted to make it a little bit longer. I wanted to do 24 days, start on December 1st, get the holidays started off right, especially since the world is in a really strange place right now. And I wanted to just read a Christmas story, just a snippet of a Christmas story every night leading up until Christmas, basically, the day before Christmas, Christmas Eve. And it's partly a challenge, partly a way to just kind of demonstrate some of my audiobook narration skills and just narration skills in general, because I'm not editing any of this. Obviously, if I'm putting together like a formal audiobook, we did a demonstration of that on day 11. A lot more goes into it. You can make sure that it sounds perfect. I don't care if I sound perfect. I wanted to just read. I remember my Nana reading to me when I was a little boy. She would read me Armenian stories, which were awesome. Remember my mom and my dad reading me stories, and those stories are never perfect. People make mistakes. You flub a line here, you say a word wrong, you fill in words that aren't actually there. But there's something about it. There's something endearing about having somebody read you a story. And so I wanted to put together the 24 Days of Christmas to kind of chill people out, bring some holiday spirit and holiday cheer into the holiday season as we move towards the end of the year and Christmas. Not being a particularly religious person myself, I don't put much stock into the religious side of all of this holiday stuff. But I love the community aspect of it. I love the family aspect of it. I love the, helping your fellow man aspect of it. This is one of my favorite times of the year, and I wanted to give back in some way. So this is kind of my way of giving back. Every night, I've made myself some delicious throat coat tea, and I've already drank half of it while recording the podcast episode that we've been working on the past hour and 10 minutes, and so I'm pouring out my second half now so that we can read the next chapter of The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, which is what we've been reading for the past 3 or 4 days. This is probably one of my favorite Christmas stories now. I've never even heard of it before this year. My friend Taylor Garvin is actually the one who said, hey, here's a book you should read. It's in the public domain. And I was just like, okay. I looked at the number of chapters. It would fill out the rest of my 24 Days of Christmas time line that I needed to fill. And so I just started reading it, and it's captured my heart. It's so nice. It's such a good story. And that's another thing. Like, when you're doing an audiobook, generally speaking, you'll have read the book before you start narrating it. I am not doing that for any of these. I read A Christmas Carol the first couple of nights, the first 10 nights, actually. And of course, I've seen the play a bunch of times, and I've seen, the Muppet version, which is the best version, by the way. And then like 3 or 4 other versions, one with Patrick Stewart, the Disney one with Mickey Mouse and all of them. So I know the story, but I've never read the book. I've never sat down and read Charles Dickens' version of A Christmas Carol. And so I'm cold reading all of these stories. I know of the Gift of the Magi. I've never read it. But again, that's part of the charm of having somebody narrate an audiobook to you or narrate a book to you, is getting those mistakes, having somebody, sit down and just launch into it. So the same thing with the Life and Adventure of Santa Claus. I hadn't heard of it until Taylor recommended it to me about a week ago, and then I just kind of dove into it. So I know I've made some mistakes, and some of the character words are a little weird, like the aguas, and a couple of other things. But again, there's a certain charm, there's a certain level of endearment when I think somebody's just kind of reading something to you, and it doesn't have to be perfect. If you have missed any of the previous live streams, or maybe you haven't missed them, maybe this is the first one you're seeing and you're like, oh wow, this is kind of cool, I would love to go and listen to some of the previous episodes. Well, I've got that for you right here. So you can go over here, scan this QR code, and it'll take you to a playlist on YouTube with all of the previous recordings, especially since Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram no longer save your recordings for more than 30 days. This is the source of truth, so if you're looking to go and listen to any of these previous stories, A Christmas Carol, The Gift of the Magi, a little audiobook demonstration on how I would produce something as an audiobook, go ahead and check them out here on this YouTube playlist. A lot of really good content there. As I'm narrating, you will be seeing the book as I go through the chapters. I know some people, myself included in a lot of cases, like to actually read along while I'm listening to a narration. So, if that's you and you like to read along, you're going to be able to see the book as I'm going through. And every so often you might see a QR code pop up like one of these. It's basically to buy me a coffee. If you're enjoying the live stream, if you think that it's worth throwing a couple bucks my way, there's a couple of QR codes. You can either send me Venmo directly, or you can donate to Coffee, which is pretty much the same thing. It's just a different website. So really up to you. Not required. No one's done it yet, but always appreciated. So that's basically what I got for you. And with that being said, I'll just go back to my normal stream here, and we will continue with the life and adventures of Santa Claus. And I am still getting over that sinus thing that I've got going on, so I might sniffle a little bit, but I'm feeling much better now, so we're all good. Chapter 7. The Great Battle Between Good and Evil. Ak listened gravely to the recital of Claus, stroking his beard the while with the slow, graceful motion that betokened deep thought. He nodded approvingly when Claus told how the Knooks and Fairies had saved him from death, and frowned when he heard how the Aguas had stolen the children's toys. At last he said, "From the beginning I have approved the work you are doing among the children of men, and it annoys me that your good deeds should be thwarted by the Aguas. We immortals have no connection whatever with the evil creatures who have attacked you. Always have we avoided them, and they, in turn, have hitherto taken care not to cross our pathway. But in this manner I find they have interfered with one of our friends, and I will ask them to abandon their persecutions, as you are under our protection." Claus thanked the Master Woodsman most gratefully and returned to his valley, while Ak, who never delayed carrying out his promises, at once traveled to the mountains of the Aguas. There, standing on the bare rocks, he called on the king and his people to appear. Instantly the place was filled with throngs of the scowling Aguas, and their king, perching himself on a point of a rock, demanded fiercely, "Who dares call on us?" "It is I, the Master Woodsman of the world," responded Ak. "Here are no forests for you to claim," cried the king angrily. "We owe no allegiance to you, nor to any immortal." "That is true," replied Ak calmly. "Yet you have ventured to interfere with the actions of Claus, who dwells in the Laughing Valley and is under our protection." Many of the Aguas began muttering at this speech, and their king turned threateningly on the Master Woodsman. "You are set to rule the forests, but the plains and the valleys are ours," he shouted. "Keep your own dark woods. We will do as we please with Claus." "You shall not harm our friend in any way," replied Ak. "Shall we not?" asked the king impudently. "You will see. Our powers are vastly superior to those of mortals, and fully as great as those of immortals." "It is your conceit that misleads you," said Ak sternly. "You are a transient race, passing from life into nothingness. We, who live forever, pity but despise you. On earth you are scorned by all, and in heaven you have no place. Even the mortals, after their earth life, enter another existence for all time, and so are your superiors. How then dare you, who are neither mortal nor immortal, refuse to obey my wish?" The Aguas sprang to their feet with menacing gestures, but their king motioned them back. "Never before," he cried to Ak while his voice trembled with rage, "has an immortal declared himself the master of the Aguas. Never shall an immortal venture to interfere with our actions again, for we will avenge your scornful words by killing your friend Claus within 3 days. Nor you, nor all the immortals can save him from our wrath. We defy your powers. Begone, Master Woodsman of the world. In the country of the Aguas you have no place." "It is war," declared Ak with flashing eyes. "It is war," returned the king savagely. "In 3 days, your friend will be dead." The master turned away and came to his forest of Burzy, where he called a meeting of the immortals and told them of the defiance of the Aguas and their purpose to kill Claus within 3 days. The little folk listened to him quietly. "What shall we do?" asked Ak. "These creatures are of no benefit to the world," said the Prince of the Nooks. "We must destroy them." "Their lives are devoted only to evil deeds," said the Prince of the Ryls. "We must destroy them." "They have no conscience, and endeavor to make all mortals as bad as themselves," said the Queen of the Fairies. "We must destroy them." "They have defied the great Ak, and threatened the life of our adopted son," said beautiful Queen Zerline. "We must destroy them." The Master Woodsman smiled. "You speak well," said he. "These Aguas we know to be a powerful race, and they will fight desperately, yet the outcome is certain. For we who live can never die, even though conquered by our enemies, while every Agua who is struck down is one foe the less to oppose us. Prepare then for battle, and let us resolve to show no mercy to the wicked." Thus arose that terrible war between the immortals and the spirits of evil which is sung of in fairyland to this very day. The King Agua and his band had determined to carry out the threat to destroy Claus. They now hated him for 2 reasons. He made children happy, and he was a friend of the Master Woodsman. But since Ak's visit, they had reason to fear the opposition of the immortals, and they dreaded defeat. So the king sent swift messengers to all parts of the world to summon every evil creature to his aid. and on the third day after the declaration of war, a mighty army was at the command of the King Agua. There were 300 Asiatic dragons breathing fire that consumed everything it touched. These hated mankind and all good spirits. And there were the three-eyed giants of Tatary, a host in themselves, who liked nothing better than to fight. And next came the black demons from Patagonia, with great spreading wings like those of a bat, which swept terror and misery through the world as they beat upon the air. And joined to these were the goblins, with long talons as sharp as swords, with which they clawed the flesh from their foes. Finally, every mountain agua in the world had come to participate in the great battle with the immortals. The King Agua looked around upon this vast army, and his heart beat high with wicked pride, for he believed he would surely triumph over his gentle enemies who had never before been known to fight. But the master woodsman had not been idle. None of his people was used to warfare, yet now that they were called upon to face the hosts of evil, they willingly prepared for the fray. Ak had commanded them to assemble in the Laughing Valley, where Claus, ignorant of the terrible battle that was to be waged on his account, was quietly making toys. Soon the entire valley, from hill to hill, was filled with the little immortals. The master woodsman stood first, bearing a gleaming axe that shone like burnished silver. Next came the Ryls, armed with sharp thorns from the bramble bushes. Then the Nooks, bearing the spears they used when they were forced to prod their savage beasts into submission. The fairies, dressed in white gauze with rainbow-hued wings, bore golden wands, and the wood nymphs in their uniforms of oak leaf green carried switches from ash trees as weapons. Loud laughed the Agua King when he beheld the size and the arms of his foes. To be sure, the mighty axe of the woodsman was to be dreaded, but the sweet-faced nymphs and pretty fairies, the gentle Ryls and crooked Nooks, were such harmless folk that he almost felt shame at having called such a terrible host to oppose them. Since these fools dare to fight, he said to the leader of the Tatary giants, I will overwhelm them with our evil powers. To begin the battle, he poised a great stone in his left hand and cast it full against the sturdy form of the master woodsman, who turned it aside with his axe. Then rushed the three-eyed giants of Tatary upon the Nooks, and the guzzle-goblins upon the Ryls, and the fire-breathing dragons upon the sweet fairies. Because the nymphs were Ak's own people, the band of Aguas sought them out, thinking to overcome them with ease. But it is the law that while evil, unopposed, may accomplish terrible deeds, the powers of good can never be overthrown when opposed to evil. Had it been for the King Agua had he known the law. His ignorance cost him his existence, for one flash of the axe borne by the master woodsman of the world cleft the wicked king in twain and rid the earth of the vilest creature it contained. Greatly marveled the Tatary giants when the spears of the little Nooks pierced their thick walls of flesh and sent them reeling to the ground with howls of agony. Woe came upon the sharp-taloned goblins when the thorns of the Ryls reached their savage hearts and let their life-blood sprinkle all the plain. And afterward, from every drop, a thistle grew. The dragons paused, astonished, before the fairy wands, from whence rushed a power that caused their fiery breaths to flow back on themselves, so that they shriveled away and died. As for the Aguas, they had scant time to realize how they were destroyed, for the ash switches of the nymphs bore a charm unknown to any Agua, and turned their foes into clods of earth at the slightest touch. When Ak leaned upon his gleaming axe and turned to look over the field of battle, he saw the few giants who were able to run disappearing over the distant hills on their return to Tatary. The goblins had perished, every one, as had the terrible dragons, while all that remained of the wicked Aguas was a great number of earthen hillocks dotting the plain. And now the immortals melted from the valley like dew at sunrise, to resume their duties in the forest, while Ak walked slowly and thoughtfully to the house of Claus and entered. "You have many toys ready for the children," said the woodsman, "and now you may carry them across the plain to the dwellings in the villages without fear." Will not the Aguas harm me? Asked Claus eagerly. The Aguas, said Ak, have perished. Now I will gladly have done with wicked spirits and with fighting and bloodshed. It was not from choice that I told of the Aguas and their allies, and of their great battle with the immortals. They were part of this history, and could not be avoided. And that's where we're going to end tonight. And tomorrow night, the next episode, we are going to get into the first journey with the reindeer. So we're going to have to find out whether this is the 8th reindeer that we're used to. Does Rudolph make an appearance? I don't know. We'll have to find out. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this read-along. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the 24 Days of Christmas. Again, if you missed any of the previous episodes, we've done A Christmas Carol. We've done The Gift of the Magi. I did a little bit of an audiobook creation demonstration. But if you want to catch any of those previous episodes, scan the QR code over there, and you'll be taken to a YouTube playlist where you'll be able to watch any of those previous episodes. Until tomorrow night, I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. Happy holidays, happy Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Diwali, all of that stuff. I love you all. And, oops, not that one. There we go. And I will see you tomorrow night for the 18th day of the 24 Days of Christmas. Man, we are barreling down on Christmas Eve. So have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow. Good night.